Guys, we got some incredible news. My name is Noah, and I am someone battling a stage 3 rare appendix cancer since being diagnosed in December. I've had surgeries, I've had lots of tests, I've had imaging, and I completed my IPT, insulin potentiated chemotherapy at the Nevada Center. We really got some good news that I wanted to share with you guys about a test that I think I forgot to mention. And if I did mention it, I don't recall doing so. I wanted to take a moment to thank everyone who has supported my GoFundMe, but I couldn't have done these alternative treatments, the chemotherapy I did, the traveling to meet with different specialists, the advanced testing, and my weekly treatments that cost $1,000 every week at the Portland Clinic of Holistic Health without you guys supporting me. Financial support makes a big difference in helping me stress less and focus just on the treatments and making content and doing the next right thing. Thank you. One of the main tumor cell marker tests that I've taken is something known as the RGCC, or the Greek test, and it measures the amount of cancerous tumor cells that are in my blood per ml. Mine came back 2.4. Another test I was told to get and that I would be getting frequently was something known as a Signatera test. It's a circulating tumor DNA test, and the way it was explained to me is that the RGCC and the total tumors, cancerous tumors that are circulating, that's the bomb. That test measures the bombs in my blood, the cancer. The Signatera tests are the shrapnel, would be considered the shrapnel of the bomb, okay?
Cancer cells release ctDNA, or circulating tumor DNA, into the bloodstream. Circulating tumor DNA, or ctDNA, is a powerful tool that can be measured to assess the absence or presence of small amounts of tumor in the body, also known as molecular residual disease. The Signatera test is optimized to detect the presence of ctDNA in the blood with high sensitivity and specificity. Looking at over 20,000 genes from a patient's tumor and comparing it to their normal cells, Signatera is able to identify the specific mutation signature or fingerprint of that tumor, creating a personalized test for each patient. Knowing the unique signature of a patient's tumor enables physicians to accurately track whether or not cancer is present using a simple blood sample. Using Signatera, physicians and patients can make more informed decisions, including risk of recurrence, early disease detection, and assessing changes in ctDNA levels in response to therapy.
This was given to me, this test. I got this before going for my chemo. I chose a form of chemotherapy called insulin potentiated therapy that uses lower doses of chemotherapy agents, like oxyplatin, I think, was one of mine. And it uses insulin to activate your cancer cells, to starve them or to choke them or to get them ready to be very metabolically active. And then you give a lower dose of your chemotherapy. And the idea being that because it activates so many more cancer cells and you're harnessing the insulin's potential in that way, you can get really good results with your chemo, as good as you could hope, I suppose, with less side effects. And that's what made sense to me. And part of what gave me the confidence to do that was that my CT scan was negative and that my total circulating tumor cell count was relatively low at 2.4. I've come to learn that 5s and 6s and even double digits are not terribly uncommon. I'm stage 3, thank God. Some people figure this stuff out at stage 4. I have just so much extra love and empathy for my stage 4 people. Obviously, I'm praying and hoping that doesn't become part of my story. But the test was done before I even left. That chemo, the reason I brought it up was because it was meant to be one of those extra measures, like, hey, we don't know for sure that this is necessary, but since I had positive margins, meaning we do know that they weren't able to cut all of the cancer out of my body in the selected blood supply area of my large intestine, where my appendix was, where my ileum was, for example, we knew that we had positive margins, meaning the very last parts of where they cut out that were tested, they still had cancerous detection. They took 6 lymph nodes, for example, or nodes, out of a possible 66, I believe, in the entire blood supply of my large intestine that was removed, and 6 of them had cancer in them. Anyway, the chemo was meant to be like this. Okay, we don't have any known visible tumors. What a relief. That's what our CT scan showed us twice on my story. in my journey. We know your total tumor cell count's 2.4. Not where we want it, but not absurdly high. So this Signatera is our way of making sure that those tumors, the tumor cell count that we do have, that they're not shedding, right? They're not shedding. And I didn't bring this up when it happened, and I'm not sure why, but since being back, I found out that I have a negative Signatera test pre-chemo, which tells me that one, the surgery I had, which is known as a hemicolectomy, where they take a third of my large intestine, they took out my appendix, where my cancer originated from, in that large intestine. That's where you would have found, or where you did find, my very large cancerous tumor. And then they took out 10 inches of my ileum, which is the beginning, I think, or maybe the end of my small intestine. I think it'd be the end of my small intestine. That means that surgery was very successful and a wonderful surgeon. I'm pretty certain that's what that indicates. It also can mean that the things I have been doing to treat my cancer have been very helpful, supportive, or effective, or at the very least not harmful, which is great, which tells me that I went into that chemotherapy, insulin potentiated, in a really good spot to hopefully knock out any small residual cancer cells. I hope. It certainly means that I went in with no ctDNA. This is something that was, again, recommended not only by my naturopath, but by my oncologist, that I get that. It's a really wonderful thing, and it gave me so much peace of mind because my doctor was really surprised that my very first one back was negative. I punched this in on ChatGPT to help educate us all. I asked it, how important is a negative result? Studies show that negative ctDNA results correlate with better prognosis and lower reoccurrence risk. It's a wonderful thing. Does a negative result mean you're 100% cancer-free? Not necessarily. ctDNA tests are very sensitive, but they're not perfect. Some cancers shed less DNA into the blood, especially if they grow slowly or in certain locations, perhaps like the appendix. So the next steps are to continue imaging and other lab tests as advised by my doctors. Consider repeat ctDNA testing, which I've already done. I just don't have the results for yet. A negative ctDNA result is a strong indicator of a better outcome, but staying proactive is key. So this is a really, really wonderful thing, and I just wanted to share a bit of good news. It's no surprise that often what I share is riddled with a lot of emotional weight. And of course it is. I'm a human being. I can be sensitive at that, and I'm going through a cancer diagnosis. And for all my fellow cancer patients, you understand, we know it's unpredictable. Hell, emotions for any of us, for a number of life's hardships and uncertainties and misfortunes, you might say, can lead to unexpected melancholy and sadness and dread and anxiety. And I've experienced all of those things, but I've also experienced some hope and some up and some contentment and all of that. And I would like to see, if I can help it, that I do a better job of expressing that as well, because it's a part of this too. It just hasn't necessarily been the strongest part as of yet. So that's some great effing news. He told me to go home to my wife, tell her that something good happened today, tell her that we have good news. And so I wanted to say the same to you guys, that we have some good news, that going into my chemo, I had a negative ctDNA test. So that's where we're at with that. Just wanted to share. Tell me, have you guys heard of this test? Have you taken it? How are you guys doing with your current treatments? If you have any questions that I might be able to try to answer, I'd be happy to take a swing at them. And just know how thankful I am for you guys